You are listening to the James Carpenter Podcast Show, episode number 11. Hi, everybody. In today's episode, I wanted to talk about my thoughts on mistakes and, what a mistake is and why we want to avoid them. And I want to talk about mistakes can be seen as our attempt at something that we do, but not getting it right or correct the first time. Correct in the sense of how we imagined it should have been or should be, and making mistakes is part of the human experience, if you think about it, and necessary for growth. It's necessary to make mistakes as we develop new habits or venture to learn a new skill, to mature, ultimately to experience life. And since life doesn't come with a user manual, especially for raising kids, now we take the opportunity to do things as we see them. As kids, we mirrored what we saw work and what didn't. We tested, we experimented to the point where when we left the house to venture out on our own, we asked others for help. We sought after advice. And today is not much different. We post on social media questions on how to manage a family member or recipe ideas or places to visit because we don't want to make mistakes or don't believe we know what to do. And especially with, the technological advancements, we have Google at our fingertips. You get to just Google it and you'll have over 1 million responses in less than 0.054 seconds. And I recently saw a television ad on this. It was a Google ad where people were saying incorrect passwords or refusing to ask others for directions. And the catchphrase of the TV ad was, let Google do it for you. But it's in how we view the mistake that will determine what we do. And this can be the number one confidence killer, is allowing yourself to make it mean that you're a failure, or allowing yourself to believe someone else's opinion that your work or your actions or that you aren't good enough, which is completely untrue. While we shouldn't listen or pay attention to others' harmful remarks, there's yet another voice to disregard, one even more powerful, more influential above them all. And this voice is so strong that it can destroy even the most serene and peaceful waves crashing along the beachfront. And this is your inner voice. I like to think of it like self-bullying, and self-bullying should never be allowed. And it can sound like these constant negative criticisms, they don't serve a purpose. And as soon as you notice it happening, stop immediately. Self-bullying stems from a place of it's a lack of compassion and kindness towards oneself. And an effective way to combat against it is simply give yourself a timeout. Take 5 minutes to isolate the negative thought that's creating you to feel badly about yourself. And you then get to substitute it with a better one. And self-criticism, it doesn't exude confidence. If anything, it's the opposite. And oftentimes making you feel insecure and inadequate. So again, it's not purposeful. It doesn't serve you. It provokes avoidance. It stems or creates this inaction in us where this negative self-talk track can't be allowed any more control or authority over you, because you get to decide where to focus your energies that ultimately determine your actions and your outcomes that create your results. And it all starts with the thoughts. And then as we focus on the positive, or at a minimum, the neutral thoughts, that's how we can dissipate the control and authority that those thoughts have over us. And what this looks like to apply it is to say something positive about yourself. It's creating that positive self-track within yourself with that inner voice, because doing so shows kindness and compassion and patience. Now, I know what it's like to be that employee who's hustling to do their best, only to feel like you keep missing the mark, or the newly promoted manager of a team trying to scale and put systems in place and being surrounded with seasoned vets, seasoned folks who've been there for years, and you feel like you don't know what to say or what the best answer is, and feeling afraid of falling short because you want to keep making good impressions. Or even to the business owner who ventures away from the comfort of their day job. in pursuit of their dream or the idea of something better. Now, all of these require you to get out of your comfort zone and into this space of unknown, which then enables you to build and to then create something in yourself that wasn't there before. Whether that's new knowledge, new experiences, new evidence for your brain to remember of what worked and what didn't, even new feelings sometimes. Now, mistakes don't have to mean that you're a failure because making a mistake doesn't mean that you failed or are a failure. It means that you made a lot of mistakes and learned and tried new things, maybe things you've never done before. And we have to remember that your brain, it wants to be efficient. And so you need to exert more energy to try new things because you need new thoughts. And remember, you can do hard things. Byron Katie's known for her tiger, tiger, is it true question you get to ask yourself because you get to choose what to believe and what to disbelieve. And you should try new things because it's hard. Think about that. It's like learning how to drive a truck for the first time. It's big, it's bulky, it takes more effort to pull into a parking space, and then you get going. And so, what if you switched your thinking from, I'm not going to do that because it's hard, rather, I'm going to because it's hard? Now, let me warn you ahead of time, this will feel uncomfortable because you're trying new things. Also, crucial to starting out this way, this process is deciding ahead of time how you're going to feel and what you're going to think when you do make a mistake. Because allowing yourself that opportunity and that space to plan ahead of time of how you're going to think and how you're going to feel in the moment reduces so much of the drama that we create in our lives. And for example, I've never learned how to cook, but my wife has. And she took cooking classes and courses, and she does an amazing job because she went through that learning process and she makes it look easy. So when I ventured into the kitchen recently to cook for our family, I assumed very little skill was needed to cook this casserole dish. All I needed to do was follow the recipe, sync the instructions, and then within 28 to 32 minutes, voila, perfectly cooked meal. And let me tell you, I remember it was a shepherd's pie I was cooking. It did not go according to plan or how I imagined it would. You see, I didn't realize the mushrooms needed to be sauteed until all the moisture evaporated, or else you'll end up with a runny casserole dish. And there were a lot of other mistakes that I did also. And I totally had the thought, well, I'm never doing that again. That was awful because I completely felt like a failure. But now I know about the moisture with the mushrooms. And instead of letting this mean that I'm a failure, I can use it and tell myself that I'm going to figure this out and move on because it then lets it become this source of motivation and inspiration, if you will, that I'm still alive. I can place myself in uncomfortable situations and allow myself to feel my feelings. This is that creating that space I was talking about, because it's in this moment that we further define who we are and also how our life experience gets to be. And so let me repeat, making a mistake doesn't mean that you failed or are a failure. It means you made a lot of mistakes and learned and tried new things. And it's in how we view the mistake that will determine what we do next. How will we show up in our life? Will you approach each day with a sense of confidence and belief that no matter what happens, you can figure it out? Or will you let it keep you in the cave, so to speak, which then creates this inaction in your life due to fear, afraid of how you'll feel, or of what you might think of yourself? Now, this is my hope for you, that you create the space in your life for yourself to make mistakes and then not to make it mean anything about you or your ability or your capability. If anything, it shows that you're willing to try hard things, not doing it because it's hard, rather doing it because it's hard. All right, my friends, that's what I have for you today. But I also wanted to invite you to check out my Facebook group community, and you can find it by searching Elite Weight Solutions Group, because it's all about providing support for those serious about losing weight. Because focus is the number one reason people reach their goals. So we intentionally focus on losing 10 pounds at a time. Check it out. I hope you've enjoyed. Have an amazing week. Take care.